About a little less than a year ago, I started wearing the hijab. And the hardest part has not been having to revamp my whole wardrobe because I can't wear half the stuff I own anymore. And it hasn't been dealing with the heat in the summertime. It hasn't even been trying to scavenge up the money to afford some of these expensive hijab scarves. The hardest part for me has been dealing with the way that people perceive me differently and subsequently how they treat me differently too. Sometimes I'll walk into a room and I'll be the only hijabi in the room. I'll be the only person that's visibly a Muslim, and I can feel the way in which people are judging me or assuming things about me. I've noticed the wariness sometimes that people have when they're talking to me for the first time, and the way people assume what I stand for, what I believe in, what I like and what I don't like, without actually having a conversation with me and getting to know me first. It's like as soon as I put on the headscarf, people have already decided who I am as a person and what I'm like without actually getting to know anything about me. It's like all people need to know about me is that I wear a scarf, and then their whole understanding of me is already complete. And that has certainly been the hardest part, because up until this point, I could be a Muslim, but I didn't have to be a Muslim up front. It didn't have to be the first thing that you saw when you looked at me. Before I started wearing the hijab, I could walk into a room and you wouldn't really know that I'm a Muslim up until it came into a conversation. I mean, you wouldn't look at me and automatically know that I'm a Muslim because it just wasn't visible. It would be something that would come into conversation, something that I would have to mention in order for someone to know that about me. And that kind of meant I could fit into any room in any space however I felt like, and I had a little more control over how people perceived me. But as soon as my scarf went on, it's the first thing that people see when they look at me. And of course, that's been scary at times because unfortunately, we live in a time where there's a lot of Islamophobia. But then even though it's been difficult at times, the number one reason why I decided to put on the hijab in the first place is because I wanted people to know without a doubt that I'm a Muslim, because my faith is an integral part of who I am and it always has been. And I got tired of having to mention it in conversation or bring it up and have people be surprised or not expecting that. I knew that by putting on the hijab, of course, I was fulfilling an obligation, but also I was protecting my iman in a way that it hasn't been in the past. And so, even though it's been difficult at times and I'm still learning and adjusting, with every hardship comes ease. And as long as you do something for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there will always be a positive outcome. And that's what I've learned.